It is a cloudy, overcast Alabama day here in South Alabama. Today we're here at the Muddy Creek Wetlands Management Area, and we're going to take a look at the Muddy Creek Trail. This area is located south of Mobile in the area known as Theodore. Now, if you're familiar with the Bellingraf Gardens, this area is just outside of Bellingraf Gardens. So we're going to head on in here, take a look at the trail. Now, this trail is in a 200-acre plot of woods that's owned by the Alabama State Port Authority. I'm not sure what it was beforehand, but from the looks of the sign, they're trying to reclaim the land. So it may have been a industrial site at one time. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, once you get out of the parking lot, you come up this paved trail here that leads you off into the woods. And this is an interpretive trail, so they have lots of signs, it looks like, that tells you what's going on, what you're looking at, and that sort of thing. Now, not too far past that sign, it looks like a four-way crossing here. Goes down that way a good bit. There's a path into the woods there, and it looks like a trail that way. We're going to go this way because there's an arrow that tells us to go this way. So we're going to get off the paved trail and go to a more natural trail here. It has some more signs that are tell you what you're looking at. As we head off into the woods. There's quite a bit of interpretive signs here, as here's another one not too far away from the first one. And this one talks about what makes wetlands wet. So accordingly, that sign there is actually a muddy creek, and I'm not sure how close we're going to get to it. Are we going to cross it? I'm not exactly sure. This is a new trail to me, so we're all going to see this together for the first time, it looks like. So let's keep on going. Okay, so now we come to another excuse me, another crossing here with another sign that has a map on it. Now, right there is the first road we came to, that four-way crossing, so we could just walk down that and lead us to here. But here's the map. It shows us 2.3 miles. It looks like there's some boardwalks, some swampy areas, a beaver pond, all kinds of good stuff. So I think we're going to go this way. As you can see, there's a lot of new construction here on this boardwalk. This is very, very new. With the composite decking here. And of course, there's more signs. If you want to read them, go ahead and pause and take a look at it. It tells you about the wetlands area. This is a pretty nice boardwalk. I was not expecting it to be this nice. Very interesting. And there's another sign. If you want to pause and read it, you're more than welcome to. It talks about invasive exotic plant species. But we're going to continue down this boardwalk here as it goes off into this swampy area. Now, like I said before, we had about an inch or so of rain over the last couple of days, so you can tell it's pretty wet out there. And this being a wetlands, it's even wetter. So looks like a cypress tree right there. But anyways, we're going to continue down this boardwalk, and it's pretty quiet out here. On this boardwalk you can walk really quiet, so we might actually see some wildlife or a snake or something. We're going to find out. But we even have interpretive signs on the railings to tell you what you're looking at. That's a Tupelo gum, excuse me. So yeah, I'm gonna continue on down this boardwalk here, and try to be a little quiet and see if we can see some wildlife out here. And here we're going to come across a creek, and this is actually the Muddy Creek. And what this talks about, if you notice how straight the creek is, and the natural creeks aren't usually straight. If you look off there in the distance, you can pretty much see straight down there. And it says at one point, the creek was more than likely altered by man for one form or another. I had some comments and questions on a couple of my videos I just kind of like to address. A lot of my hiking and walking, I guess you'd say, is solo. I do it all by myself. And I've had people ask or question me about my safety out here, to be safe and things like that. Especially on one of my previous videos at the Escatawba Trail. Now that trail had been closed for about 10 years or so, and according to some locals of the area, that trail had a very bad reputation 10-15 years ago, where people would go to it, and for lack of better terms, there was some let's just say not so good activities going on in that area. And I didn't go into details of the activities that were going on. Basically, some of the hikers and walkers were getting harassed, robbed, that sort of thing. So there was probably some local group of people or local people that were out there preying on the people out there trying to enjoy themselves. So, which leads me back to my what I was going to say is, hiking solo, people always tell me, hey, please be careful out there, or what do you do? Well, now, you can take this, either you like it or you don't like it, you agree with it, you don't agree with it. You don't have to. You can make your own mind up with it. I personally carry protection with me. A lot of times when I'm out by myself, especially in the woods, and especially areas that I'm not familiar with, like today, I have protection with me. I have permits and all that good stuff. That makes me perfectly legal to do so. I'm just going to leave it at that. So when you're ever hiking in places like today, I get here and the parking lot has 2 vehicles in it, so there's probably 1 or 2 people out here with me somewhere on this trail. Well, just happened to notice there was one fella that was just sitting in his truck, minding his own business. He wasn't bothering nobody, but still, you gotta be careful. Keep your mind on a little bit of a swivel, head on swivel, when you're in places like this. Just be mindful of your surroundings. The world's not what it used to be. But anyways, we're back here, kind of in the pine area right here on the edge of this pine forest, but we're still in the little swampy area, so looks like we're going to come up on another older boardwalk, and let's see what's back this way. Now, for the most part, this trail is pretty natural. If you kind of look, this gray looking stuff is more, it looks like a fabric. It may have been like a weed fabric that they put down to keep grass and stuff from growing out at one point, but it's mainly natural terrain. There's no crushed gravel or rocks or anything I've come across, but this ground is kind of a, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of a thick compacted clay, so it can be a little slick in places, so just be mindful. You can also tell here there's lots of roots and stuff. You know, we are in nature, so unfortunately it's not wheelchair accessible out here, but you could get to the boardwalk and enjoy the boardwalk and, you know, turn back around if you wanted to do that if you're wheelchair bound. But overall, I'm liking the trail. Has lots of different signs and markings, so you can't get lost, and the interpretive signs are pretty neat, interesting. That's one of my, I guess you say, lackings, is tree and plant identification. That's something I'm trying to be working on over the next couple of years, of what the predominant trees are in my area, try to learn those and their benefits or that sort of thing, just more nature. So, but lots of different types of trees out here. Lots of pines, obviously, and then there's some gums, and there's even a magnolia tree right there. Right there's a big old magnolia growing out. But we'll continue on around and let's see what we can find. It's very quiet out here. There is a neighborhood a little ways away. You can hear a radio going and an occasional train horn as I'm kind of towards the back half of the trail now. Come on another boardwalk. Just come across, I'm pretty sure you can see it. There, over there. It's like some bricks just dumped out. There's some on the trail right in that area too. I'm not sure if somebody just dumped them as like garbage from a house build, or was there a house out here at one time? But as you can tell here on the map, we're right there. Fixing to hit another boardwalk in the beaver pond. Kind of on the back half of the trail now, so we've been about a mile or so. And coming up on this older boardwalk. It hasn't been redone yet, but we're gonna head on that way. Older boardwalk is a little bit slick from the rain and humidity, so if you come out here, be mindful of that. This sign talks about the bald cypress knees. And what their function of them is. As you can tell, they're a little knob sticking out of the ground there. Now I do like the boardwalk because you can walk a little bit more quieter than if you're walking through the leaves of the trail. Might come upon some more stuff out here, being a little more quieter as you cross this little stream here. And I guess this is the beaver pond here, so maybe we might get lucky and see there's a beaver here. I have seen some good handful of birds, quite a few squirrels, things like that so far, but it'd be really cool to see a beaver. Haven't seen a beaver in the wild in quite a while. But looks like a little overlook right here. I think I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. Maybe see if we can catch us a beaver. So I'm almost to the end of the boardwalk. I come across this sign right here. Now I'm gonna hop off the boardwalk here and so you can get a better look at the sign. I do a little research on it. I didn't know what a champion tree was. Now I've heard of champion trees, but never really thought much about it. Now, from my understanding, a champion tree is the largest specimen of that particular species of tree. Now, I'm guessing this is the slash pine champion tree that sign is referring to. So this is the largest tree of that species. Now, I'm not sure if it's worldwide or just Alabama. But that is a very large specimen of pine tree, without a doubt. I'll get a little bit close to it here, just to estimate. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell here how wide this tree is across. It's every bit from there to there, at least 2.5, possibly 3 feet. This tree is very, very substantial, and it continues that girth almost all the way to the top. So that was pretty cool seeing the champion tree. We come off this boardwalk, get into an area of rather substantial oak trees that are hundreds of years old. Pretty interesting how just on the other side of this area is a pine tree forest. Now that pine tree forest has obviously been hand planted, whereas the forest we're in now is all natural, from my understanding. But everywhere you look in here, there's massive, massive oak trees with limbs that spread out hundreds of feet across from tip to tip. Pretty interesting. Wasn't expecting to see a champion tree out here. So now I'm probably on the last 3/4 mile or so of the trail on the return leg. Now the beaver pond area was kind of interesting. Wish there would have been more beavers, maybe. I think beavers operate more at night, but I didn't see any signs of beavers. There was no beaver dams, no beaver lodges, no trees being chewed up, that sort of thing. So it wasn't much of a pond either. Now at one point it may have been a beaver pond, and they may have just moved on somewhere else. The plaque there on the boardwalk said this area was dedicated in 2003. So this trail is right about 20 years old. As you can tell in that first part we saw earlier, they've put some improvements on it very recently, so that was nice to see the Port Authority taking care of it, Putting a little money and effort into it. This is kind of interesting. This tree right here in front of me, it's kind of a gray color. I'm not sure if it has disease on it or the bark has come off. If you know what type of tree this is, let me know in the comments below, please. Kind of curious about it. Now we're coming upon another boardwalk area here. And also I noticed here off to our left is this pretty good sized cable that's being held up by old train rails. And this is kind of funny. Here's a sign that shows you what poison ivy looks like, but I don't see any poison ivy around here. If you don't know what poison ivy is, it has 3 leaves. I'll put a picture up on the screen here. It's one of those things, it's like a venomous snake. You definitely want to enjoy it from afar. You do not want to touch it. You do not want to fool with it. But back here, I think this is the muddy creek that crossed earlier. And if there was a snake anywhere, it'd be in this area here. Let's see if I can find a snake. Coming out of that area, you come into a kind of overgrown grassy area, into a pretty somewhat thick area in the trail. I've scurried up a couple of birds already. A handful of birds, really. It's kind of interesting how the landscape changes. We were just next to the stream, which is still off to our right hand side, but literally within 5-10 feet it goes from open to closed, and to what you see here is, you know, somewhat open. It's interesting how the landscape changes within a matter of feet and minutes. There's also lots of roots on this side of the trail, all these oak trees and stuff, so gotta watch your step out here. As you can tell here, it's gonna go back into a thick grassy area again. It's kind of weird. Pretty interesting. Like I said before, we got a decent little bit of rain the last couple of days. And with the name of the trail being Muddy Creek, I figured this trail system will be a lot wetter, muddier than what it is. So it must have a pretty good runoff and drainage out here. But people always ask on the groups and stuff on Facebook and Reddit and all that stuff, what kind of shoes you like. Well, I've had those old Merrells there for about 2 years, and the tread on them is just about going away. So it's time to get a new pair of Merrells. I like them. They're pretty comfortable out of the box. And I also have a pair of Adidas Terrex AT4s, I believe they are. Now those shoes right there have lots more grip than the Merrells do, but out of the box they are pretty stiff on the soles. So I heard people say you don't break in shoes anymore. Now those need to be broken in. The soles are pretty tough, and the insoles are kind of tough. But anyways, so that's what I like to wear is Merrells. They're relatively affordable. Catch them on sale. Sometimes you can get some pretty good deals on them at Academy and places like that. But yep. So I got probably maybe about a quarter mile, and I'll be back at the main split in the trail. But overall, I really enjoyed the trail. I'm glad the weather held out and didn't get rained on today. There was some interesting sights with the champion tree and, you know, the pine thickets that sit right next to a old growth forest that we're in today, right now. Different types of trees with gum trees and magnolias and oaks and elms, and I really like how they had the signs up to tell you what you're looking at, that sort of thing. There's a porta potty if you need to use one. But yep, we're back here at the split in the trail. That means we're not too far away from the parking lot. So I'm going to end the video here. And like always, I appreciate y'all coming along with me. Appreciate y'all watching. And we'll see you next time.